What is up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. For today's look, I'm going to be showing you guys how I got this Dr. Facilier inspired look for Halloween. Dr. Facilier is the antagonist in The Princess and the Frog. So let's go ahead and jump right into this tutorial. I'm going to be starting with the hair first. Shout out to Victoria's Wigs for collaborating with me and sponsoring this video. They sent over this beautiful 18-inch lace wig, and I'm really excited to try this one on because it's going to be the first time that I try Swiss lace. Before I installed the wig, I was kind of examining the lace and everything like that, and it definitely is a lot more transparent than other wigs that I've tried in the past. It does also come with some combs on the inside and an elastic band on the back. So to style this hair, I'm just going to add some wand curls using a really small curling wand. I'm not exactly sure what size this wand is, but I'm pretty sure like any type of curling wand that's really small will do. So I'm just going to go ahead and curl everything up, and then once I'm done, I'm going to take my paddle brush and just comb through all of the curls to kind of fluff everything up at the end. So a few things I wanted to share with you guys about this wig. It does come with Swiss lace, so it's supposed to give a more natural hairline. You shouldn't need to do any pre-plucking or like not bleaching or anything like that. I personally did some extra plucking just for me personally, but you shouldn't need to. But the lace does look very, very natural and very transparent, which I loved. The wig is also 100% human virgin hair, and they do have a 24-hour ship policy. And the lace part of the wig is all handmade, which means all of the hairs are actually hand tied onto the lace. So this wig is going to be a little bit more expensive than others, which is something to keep in mind. Overall, I did have a really good experience with this hair while I was wearing it. I had it on for a couple of more days after filming this. The hair held onto the curls really, really well. And I think my favorite part is definitely the lace and just how transparent it is. So I'm just about done curling the hair. This is pretty much what it looks like. So now I'm going to comb everything out using my brush, and I'm just making sure to really go through all of the curls and fluff everything out. Make sure everything is really separated because I want this hair to be really, really big and super fluffy. Then using my hot comb, I'm just going to go over the center part just to kind of make sure everything is nice and flat. I'm going to use some clips to kind of hold the hair in the front so that way it stays more of like a molded look versus like fluffing up like the rest of the hair. And then right after, I'm going to add a little bit of oil just to kind of give it some extra shine. This one is from Garnier from the Whole Blends line, and I'm just going to run that through the hair using my fingers. Then to lock those curls in place, I'm going to go in with my Got2b hairspray. So now it's time to install our wig. I already have my stocking cap on. I'm going to go ahead and start securing that down using my Got2b freeze spray again. I'm spraying that all over my hairline, and I'm going to dry it down using the cool setting on my blow dryer. So our hairspray is dry. I'm going to start cutting off all that excess stocking cap. Be really careful with this step because it's really easy to cut yourself. I know I've done it a couple of times, so just be really careful while you're doing this step. Then to blend in that wig cap a little bit better, I'm going to use some MAC Studio Fix powder. This one is in the shade NC50, and using a really stiff domed like foundation brush, I'm just going to buff this onto the wig cap and towards the hairline to kind of make it blend better with the frontal. So I'm gonna go ahead and put on my wig now and make sure it's all properly aligned and everything. And to secure the lace down, I'm gonna use the Got To Be Ultra Glued styling gel. This is the one that comes in like the clear formula, and I'm gonna use that to basically secure the lace down. So I'm gonna add that right at the edge of that wig cap, and then I'm gonna place my frontal right on top and hold it in place until the gel dries all the way down. So my lace is secure now. I'm gonna go ahead and cut off all that excess lace using my razor again. And then from there, I'm gonna go back into my MAC Studio Fix powder and add a little bit onto the edge of that lace just so it blends a little bit better with my natural skin tone before I go into styling my edges. Then with my razor again, I'm gonna start trimming off some baby hairs. I also went back in with that same Got To Be Ultra Glue gel, the one in the black tube, and I used that to style my edges today. And that's pretty much all I did for the hair, guys. Right after that, I just added my satin scarf so everything stayed in place while I was doing my makeup. So once I'm done styling up my edges, I'm gonna show you guys what I did for this makeup look. Alright guys, so to start off this look, I'm going to go ahead and prime my eyes. I'm using the Louise x TailorMadeJane bases in shades number 3 and 5. Congratulations to TailorMadeJane on this collaboration. I'm super proud of her. She basically collaborated with Louise to extend the shade range in their bases. So now there are a lot more colors in the deeper range, which is absolutely amazing. And I think the even cooler part is that I think all of these new shades are going to be on the Morphe website. I'm going to be using shades 5 and 3 to prime my eyes, and I'm just going to buff that in using a fluffier brush. Then for eyeshadow, I'm going to be jumping into the Bperfect x Stacey Marie Carnival XL Pro palette. I'm going to be taking the shade Reckless and using a Morphe M507. I'm going to start creating a winged out shape for the crease and outer corner. I'm going to be adding black later on, so I want this color to really stand out behind it. So I'm going to make sure to pack this on really, really well. So next I want to start blending out the edges of Reckless. I'm going to use the shade Influence, which is a deeper shade of red, and a Morphe M506. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and start buffing out the edges of our last shade. Before I go into my last transition color, I like to use the Fenty Beauty blotting powder on the brow bone area to make that area nice and matte and smooth, so our transition color just blends in really seamlessly into everything. And then from there, I'm going to go into my third transition color. I'm going into the shade Funky, which is a hot pink, and using another clean Morphe M506, I'm going to use that to start buffing out the edges of our last color. Then to deepen up the crease even more, I'm going to add a little bit of black. I'm using the shade Lights Out from the same palette. Before I get into cutting my crease, I want to make sure to remove all that excess like eyeshadow and product on my lid. And for that, I'm going to use the Huda Beauty Cleansing Balm. I'm going to take a little bit on a shadow brush and just kind of pretend like I'm cutting my crease and create the shape that I would go for and just wipe off all that excess product and shadow on my lid. Then to cut the crease, I'm going to go back in with the Louise times TailorMadeJane base. This one is in the shade number 0. Since I already have the shape that I'm going for mapped out, I'm pretty much just going to perfect everything and make sure that the lid is nice and smooth and opaque. Now I want to start blending out that outer corner. I'm first going to go in with the shade Nuke, which is a deep forest green from the Carnival XL Pro palette. And I'm going to add that onto the outer corner first using a Morphe M507. I'm also going to go back in with the shade Lights Out, which is the matte black, and just make sure that it's blended into that dark green as well. Then going into the Hype, I'm going to add that onto the outer corner as well using the same Morphe M507. And for the lid, I'm going to go into the shade Ecstasy, and I'm going to apply that using a flat shader brush just to make sure I get the maximum pigmentation. Next, I want to add some liner. So I'm going to be going into the Beauty Bakery Gelato liner. This is their black one. And I'm just going to add a liner onto like my lash line. It's going to go from like thin on the inner part of the lash line to like thicker on the outer part. And then I'm going to use some black shadow to blend the outer corner into the gel liner. Hopefully that makes sense. After that, I'm just going to add some liner onto my waterline. For the waterline, I'm going to be using an Urban Decay liner. This one is in the shade Perversion. This is literally like the blackest liner I've ever used. I love it so much. So once I have that smudged in the waterline, I'm gonna add some black shadow to kind of like set it into place. I'm using the same black shadow that I added into the crease and the outer corner, and I'm gonna use that with a shorter like shader brush so that way I can kind of smudge it out a little bit more. Then to further smoke out the lower lash line, I'm gonna go back in with the same shades that I added onto the crease. So I'm then gonna go into Reckless, which is that deep like burgundy type of color that we added first. And then I'll finish up everything using Influence and Funky. I'm going to be using this blush light from Melt Cosmetics. It's in the shade Ultraviolet. I'm going to be taking that hot pink shade and using a fluffier brush, I'm going to add that onto the brow bone and use a smaller brush for the inner corner. Then for a little bit of extra highlight, I'm going to go in with the shade Pink Me, and I'm going to add that onto the brow bone and inner corner as well. Then next it's time for lashes. I'm first gonna go in with my lash primer from L'Oreal. I'm just gonna add that onto my lower lashes, and while that's drying, I'll add my mascara. For today, I'm using the Black Radiance Bold and Sexy Fiber Mascara, and I'm just gonna add that onto the top lashes first. By the time I'm done with my top lashes, the lash primer is usually pretty much like dry, so then I can go ahead and apply it onto my lower lashes after. Then for falsies today, I'm going to be using some Tati lashes. These are the TL Mitchells. So this is the lash that they did in collaboration with Mama Mitchell on Instagram. I'm going to pop those on using some tweezers. I'm also going to do some bottom lashes. I cut up like another lash off camera. I'm just pretty much sticking those on in like little clumps using some Duo lash adhesive. And that's pretty much it for the eyes. I'm going to start working on the skin. I'm first going to prime using the Laura Mercier Hydrating Primer, and I'm just going to rub that in using my fingers. And then for foundation, I'm going to be using Maybelline Superstay Foundation in the shade 330 Toffee. I think this one is a little bit light for me right now, but I feel like over the next like month or so, it'll be just perfect because we're kind of getting into those cooler months and I'm not as like tan and stuff as I am during the summertime. But I'm going to go ahead and buff that in using a brush. Today, I'm using a Morphe M439. Next, I'm going to apply some concealer. I'm using one from Fenty. This is their Pro Filter in the shade 350. And I'm going to add that on all the areas that I want to highlight. So underneath the eyes, I love adding concealer on the sides of my nose, the Cupid's bow, a little on the chin and the sides of my mouth because I do tend to get a little gray there. I'm then going to use some powder just to kind of set everything into place. This is the Fenty Beauty Pro Filter setting powder in the shade Banana, and I'm just going to add that on top of all the areas that I applied concealer. Then to set the rest of the face, I'm going to use the JCat Beauty Aquasurance Compact Powder. I don't remember the shade name, but I'll make sure to put it down below in the description box. But I'm just going to apply that using a really large fluffy brush just to make sure everything is nice and smooth and there's no like movement around with the foundation. For bronzer, I'm going to be using the Morphe Glamour Bronze bronzer in the shade Phenom, and I'm just going to apply that on all the areas where I want a little bit of extra warmth, so my hairline, cheekbones, a little on the nose, as well as the chin and jawline. For this look, I really wanted to go crazy on blush, so I went back in with the Blush Light from Mel Cosmetics in Ultraviolet, and taking a mixture of all three shades, I'm going to add that onto the upper cheek area and drag it into the temples. Then for some extra color, I'm going to go back into that shade Funky from the Carnival palette and use that as blush too. And then next I'm going to fill in my brows. I'm going to use the Anastasia Dip Brow Pomade in shade Ebony. And I started off doing a more sculpted brow, but I didn't really like the way it was turning out. So I ended up just taking a little spoolie and just kind of brushing off the product on the top of the brow that I added to kind of make the brow look more natural. Right after, I'm going to go in with the Anastasia Dip Brow Gel in shade Dark Brown, and I'm going to add that onto the brows too, just for a little bit of extra hold. Then to highlight, I'm going to use the Anastasia Dream Glow Kit and taking the shade Unicorn, I'm going to pop that onto all the high points in my face. So the cheekbones, the bridge of the nose, the tip of the nose, Cupid's bow, and I added a little bit onto the chin too. And then finally for the lips, we're going to do something super vampy. So I'm going to start off lining the lips with a black liner. This is actually an eyeliner from LA Girl. It's their black shockwave liner. I really like the formula of this and just how smooth it glided on. So I just went ahead and used that as a lip liner for today. I'm going to line my lips as I normally would and just fill in the outer corners of my lips so that way I can blend everything really easily into the liner. Then to fill in my lips, I'm going to use two red lipsticks from Ofra Cosmetics. The deeper one I'm going to apply first and just add that all over the lips and just make sure to blend it in with the lip liner. And then the more red one, I'm just going to add on the very, very center of the lips to create that really cute ombre effect. And then for gloss, I'm going to use a mixture of like a blue purpley reflect gloss from LA Girl and a clear gloss from Black Radiance. And that pretty much completes the look, guys. I really hope you enjoyed this hair and makeup look. I'm really excited for the Halloween season and have like a whole list of like ideas for Halloween looks, so make sure to stay tuned. Thank you so much for watching this tutorial. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to give this video a huge thumbs up and subscribe to my channel so that way you can see more hair and makeup tutorials. Thank you again for watching, loves. I love you, and hopefully I will see you in the next one.